What's going on, CP kids? It's your boy, Chad Michael, and I am here to give you another video. Now, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that bell so you're notified every time we upload a new video, because this week we have a lot of videos coming out. Now, today's video is pretty cool. We're actually going to the Nook, and you'll see that here in just a second. But ladies and gentlemen, today's video is a story all about an owl named Luke, and how Luke learned exactly what we learned this past Sunday. That God has given us a tool to get through every single problem, and that tool is prayer. So let's go ahead over to the Nook and we'll see what happens to Luke the owl.
Wait and see. There's so much world we haven't seen, and I wanna see it all with you. Take my hand when you need.
Today's story is inspired by Psalm 138:8. When I pray, you answer me. There was once a wise old owl named Mr. Wise. The reason he was so wise is that he prayed to God about every situation. Mr. Wise would always say to God, "I know you have the power to change my situation." And because he said that, everyone thought he was crazy, because all he would do is sit on that branch and pray. There was another owl named Luke. He tried to be just like Mr. Wise. Luke would say, "Mr. Wise, I pray just like you do to God. I tell God my situation, and then I tell him exactly how I want him to change it." Mr. Wise looked at Luke and said, "Well, that's not how you pray. Prayer is communicating with God, you see. You tell God about your situation, but you also allow God to talk back to you." Luke was getting really excited. Then all of a sudden, he heard a rumbling in the forest. Luke went to see what was causing all the chaos. He saw birds screaming for their lives. So Luke took them to Mr. Wise. Oscar flew forward to speak. "That crazy bird Freddy is coming to attack us, man. He's coming to take our land. He wants us to be his prisoners." They had a situation that needed to be changed. Oscar said, "Don't worry about it. We have weapons, man. We're going to pick up our sticks and our stones, and we're going to go and fight Freddy, man. That crazy bird won't even see us coming. We will have complete victory." Oscar picked up his weapons to fight. Freddy came down so hard on them, he flew in so fast, they didn't have time to do anything. They threw the stones, but he was so big, he didn't even feel it. They tried to beat him with a stick, but he broke their sticks. Their weapons were not powerful enough. Luke went to Mr. Wise and said, "Mr. Wise, I don't know if we can get out of this situation. They're attacking us." Mr. Wise put his feathers to his head and started praying to God. "Father God, I know you answer prayers. I know all I have to do is tell you about my situation, and you will work everything out. I need a plan. I need you to tell me what to do to defeat this enemy." As Mr. Wise was speaking, God gave him a strategy. God said to Mr. Wise, "Stretch out the huge net you have and throw it in front of Freddy." Mr. Wise took the giant net and stretched it out in front of Freddy, just as God told him to. Wham! Freddy flew right into the net. Freddy was trapped, but Oscar was so small he could fit through one of the tiny holes in the net. Within seconds, Oscar was free. Oscar was able to escape because Mr. Wise was smart enough to give his situations to God. Mr. Wise was smart enough to pray to God and believe that God would answer him. And Mr. Wise was smart enough to put down his weapons of sticks and stones and to pick up the weapon of prayer that God had given to him. Mr. Wise understood that God had given him a tool, the tool of prayer, and that prayer could get him through any problem that he could ever come up against. And because Mr. Wise was wise enough to trust God, God used Mr. Wise to save everyone. And that is the power of prayer. So ladies and gentlemen, just like Luke, we have a choice that we have to make. Either we can try to handle our problems and get through them on our own, and it's just going to be a lot of wasted time, or we can choose to trust God and trust God with the tool of prayer that he has given us. You see, we've learned from the Bible on Sunday, and now today we even learned from Luke the Owl on how we can handle every single problem. So what problems are you going through? Maybe there's some difficulty at home. Maybe there's some frustration in some of your friendships. Or maybe one of your brothers or sisters has been really mean to you recently. Well, I challenge you to not handle the situations the way that Oscar wanted to handle them, with sticks and stones. I challenge you to handle those problems and those situations with the tool of prayer that God has given you. But the choice is all yours. What are you going to do to get through your problems? Prayer is the only way. Make sure you like and subscribe.